All right, welcome back to the Fit Fatherhood. I'm your host, Rod, and this is my guest today is Dr. Ramon Goings. Dude, should I call you Doc? Should I call you Ramon? Should I call you Dr. Goings? Like what?
It's cool, whatever, depending where I am. I'm Ramon to some folks, Dr. Ramon. It's cool. I'm cool with that, however you approach it. Dr. Ramon is cool. We go like that.
Okay, Dr. Ramon, you're the first doctor that I've had on the podcast, and that's dope. So tell us a little bit about yourself, man.
Yeah, so I guess daytime, I'm definitely a dad first, and husband to my wife Renee. We've been married about 10 years. We just celebrated our 10-year anniversary about a week ago.
Congratulations.
And so that's first. And then on the work side, I'm a daytime job. I'm an assistant professor in the language literacy and culture doctoral program at University of Maryland, Baltimore County. And I also own the Done Dissertation, which is a dissertation consulting firm helping doc students get through the dissertation process in less than 1 year.
Oh, wow. Okay. All right. So a lot, you had a lot there. So you've been married for 10 years, right? Congratulations on that. That's an accomplishment, man. A lot of people don't make it as far as you have. So congratulations on that, man.
Appreciate it.
And you have a daughter, 3-year-old?
3-year-old. Yeah, Leah. She is 3 years old and she is about the life for sure. She is active and keeping me on my toes for sure.
Yeah. Bro, trust me. I got 2 daughters and they're older now, like 9 and about to be 7. But I remember, right? I remember when they were 3, they were 3 and 5 or 1 and 3 and running around the house crazy.
Does it get easier?
It changes.
Okay, I got you.
It changes. Like you have to define what easy is. They communicate better, they understand better, right? Like, so that makes it a little bit easier, but there's still a ton of stuff that they want to do and they keep you on your toes. And I'm pretty sure that happens until forever, probably. All right. So I do have a question. So the Done Dissertation thing really piqued my interest. I'm interested in that. What exactly is it that you're doing with that?
Yeah. So, when folks are getting their PhDs or whatever the doctorate is in their field, you have traditional coursework like you would in undergrad or like a master's program. But then at the end, you have to write a dissertation in a lot of programs. And that's basically a large research project that showcases that you are a researcher and independent scholar. And so part of that's where a lot of students actually get leave doctoral programs is during that process, because essentially they say, all right, you go out on your own and start doing your own research. And for a lot of students, that's just nerve-wracking to have that control and have to do that themselves. And so I help people get through that process because a lot of folks get stuck. And I'd rather you just get the support you need to get through. And I help people get through in 1 year or less. And you'd be surprised. There are people who have been working on that last phase of their doctoral program for upwards of 10 years. Wow. And so it makes no sense to spend that much time. And so I've learned the process of doing it myself. And then now I've taught over 100 students how to get through the dissertation process.
Wow. That's awesome, man. In a year or less, huh? That's
year or less.
And I considered getting my PhD a few years ago, and I've since passed on that idea.
Why you pass on it?
You know what? It was like I'm still in strength conditioning, but I was in a position where I was looking for something to continue to challenge me, but it wasn't going to do anything necessarily for me financially. Like I was at the top of the food chain in my career. And so it was like, I was just going to go get a PhD just because I wanted to be challenged. But then after that, like, okay, so now what do I do with it? And so after going back and forth and like figuring out, like, do I want to spend the money to do this if I'm not going to, benefit anything from it on the other end? I was like, nah, but I still think about it, right? And they obviously, once you put your name in the system, they still call you, they still email you, say on me. And I'm still thinking about it, but I'm trying to, weigh the option, like what would be my benefit of doing it now at this point, especially now that I've kind of transitioned out of that position and now I'm just an entrepreneur. So
sometimes it opens up still doors that you can't get into without it.
Yeah. See, that's it. That's it. Yeah. I was thinking that too, right? To have that to have that attached to your name is huge, for sure. Like I said, I didn't even want to call you by your first name. Like,
Got you. Yeah, so, I definitely say just consider it because, like I said, there's doors that open for you, and then you may not want to be an entrepreneur all the time, and you may just say, I actually want to maybe teach students about entrepreneurship. but you can't get into the colleges without the degree, a lot of places, so it could be some things that I think you have a skill set that actually college students need, but because you don't have the credential, they may not let you in to even give them that skill set.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. All right, man. You sound like you sound like the recruiter right now.
Yeah. I always promote it for folks. I love to see Black and brown folks out here just, degreed up if they need it, or they want it, and definitely get into those rooms that they can't get into.
Yeah. Do you find that are you focused primarily on Black and brown people, or are you kind of work with everybody?
I work with everyone. I think because I'm a Black man, like that, a lot of my clients are Black. They just find me, on the internet and things like that. But my company provides support for doctoral programs. So we have predominantly white institutions that are clients. So it just depends. We provide the transformation for folks who need it. And then, I don't care who it is. I just want to make sure folks out here doing good work and that they get through these programs and not waste tens and thousands of dollars in tuition with no degree to show for it. It sounds crazy. It's crazy to me to see people doing that.
Yeah. All right. Okay. So I saw that you got like 60 public. What is it? What is the publications? What is that about? What are you writing about? Where are you published?
Yeah. So my research focuses on Black male student success in K through 12 schools and higher education. And then I also look at diversifying the teacher and school leader workforce. So I'm an education scholar by training. And so I'm always concerned about, there's this narrative about Black men in society that we don't do well, and we don't do well in school. But my work tries to show the opposite of that, like Black boys and men that do exceptionally well in school. And what can we learn about their stories that can inform what we do in schools? And so I'm very much interested in that. I want to look at success. I'm tired of just seeing us portrayed as failures out here. So that's where my work is centered. And so with that, as a professor, I have to write these publications for promotion and tenure, so you keep your job. So that's part of like the job portion. That's why I do it. And I also write books as well. So just some things that, I do as part of my job, but now I'm kind of transitioning from doing just for my job, but also doing for my business and just for fun too.
Got you. So as a professor, what courses are you teaching?
So I teach students in my program are people who are getting their PhDs, and I teach the intro research class. So students learn how to do research methods. So that's one of my areas of specialty. Then I also teach a class on how doc students can take their research and communicate in other spaces. So how can they take what they do as a researcher and create that business, and how to communicate to the other people that know nothing about what you do. So I help a lot of doc students do that, because we get caught up in like academia and all that stuff, but it's like, can you break this down for someone who knows nothing about your product or your service or your ideas that you have about your research area in a way that they actually may want to buy something from you? And that's what I teach students how to do.
Nice. No, that's a super important skill set to have. Do you have any well, obviously you got a whole course, right, that you teach, but do you have any like tips that we could take away? Like I need to know, like, now it seems like that'd be beneficial for everybody.
Yeah, I think it's like figuring out from the research side, what skill set am I developing, getting my PhD that I can leverage in another area? And can I explain that to people? Like for me, when I was doing my doctorate, a lot of students came to see me for editing. I didn't consider myself an editor, but that seemed like to be what the market was looking for. Like I need support with editing. Then I found out that, students are calling me because they need some coaching too. And I'm like, there's an industry that does this. And I can use the research skills I already have that I learned in my doc program to help people get through their process. Like it's a no-brainer. And so I think for a lot of folks in higher education, we're kind of taught like just to go to school and get that job, but we're never really thinking about what are these skill sets that I'm developing and how can I use them in another way to actually earn an income outside of maybe my job.
I like that. Okay. All right. So then I have to figure out what it is that I do and how I can communicate that to other people in a way that they understand, right? Like, so I got to essentially speak their language with my language, right?
Yeah, and speak their pain, not even their language, right? What's the pain? Because people want a prescription for pain. So if you talk the pain, they see it and they're like, oh, wait a minute. He actually knows, or they know exactly what I'm going through. And then you provide them a solution, it's a no-brainer. Even price doesn't become a barrier at that point if you provide a great enough solution to their problem.
Cool. All right. So if I was in the PhD program, right? I'm just getting started. I sign up the Done Dissertation. I'm trying to trying to get this thing done in a year, right?
Yeah.
Like what are some of the steps that I need to go through? Like obviously I got to do some research, right? Like I gotta, and you're going to kind of help me figure out what I'm researching. But then like, what do I need to do? How do I get out of here in a year and get going?
Yeah, for sure. The first thing that my clients, when they come to work with us, we do is that we come up with a plan, a dissertation completion plan, because most folks, they get stuck because they don't have a plan. So it's like, let's plan for success and let's backwards map it. So let's look what the end looks like, you graduating. Let's look at all the deadlines that need to happen. That way we can start to map out, all right, how long is it going to take you to write certain sections? How long will it take to get approved? All these things is something that's part of the plan. So we come up and create your plan. And then a lot of the work that we're doing is a lot of mindset work, to be honest, is like, because I think as students, sometimes we get beat down by our professors. Like we may think like our writing is not good, or we have all these like negative thoughts. Mm-hmm. And so a lot of our work when they come work with us is like disrupting that mindset. Whereas now they're not even worried about the feedback because they have a process and a plan in place. They're just going to work the plan. And when they do that, they proceed through the process. And then also from there, just helping students and also figure out what do they want to do after the doctorate? Because again, that's still part of the plan. So a lot of folks in my program want to become faculty. And so we try to help them map out what does that look like as well, working with us. But again, it all starts with a plan. And then we can work through all the components of the dissertation, how to write it, how to approach it, and how to work with people. Because you're going to have a committee of 4 to 5 people that are going to approve your dissertation, and you got to know how to work with them. So it's a lot of politics. So I teach people how to play the politics of it too.
Okay. All right, man. That sounds like a robust plan, man. I like the reverse engineering. It's in strength and conditioning, in fitness is the same thing we do, right? Like what is our end goal, right? If our end goal is championship at the end of the season, or if it's the gold medal in the Olympics, let's start there and work back, every month, every 6 months, every year. Like, what do we need to, what are the milestones that we need to be hitting in order to get to that goal, right? And I think that a lot of people, like life is to be understood, like life is easier to understand going backwards, but it's lived going forward. Yeah. So a lot of people are like just going through it and like, why isn't this working, right? And by starting at the end and working backwards, it gives you an opportunity to figure out what step I need to work to in order to get where I want to go. So that's great, man. I like that. So professor, you got your coaching program, writing books, you writing publications, you got a podcast, right? You're doing tons of things. How are you able to juggle all that with you're married for 10 years, you got a 3-year-old, like how are you managing all those things?
It's getting real good with my calendar. And to be honest, I try to do everything. I used to be like a 9 to 5, like I would do everything at 9 to 5. But now what I'm noticing is that because things are picking up, I got to start getting up a little earlier. So this is a shift I'm actually making right now, is to start getting up like 5:36. So I get those couple extra hours in because my daughter wakes up early. So this is managing the schedule. That a lot of that is for me. I try to block off the family time. It's family time. So like no one can schedule a meeting with me after 5, between like 5 and 8, because those are like the time my daughter's coming from daycare. We're doing the whole, dinner, bath, bed, the whole evening routine. So I'm very mindful about that. And then my wife is definitely a major contributor and help. So we kind of just make sure that we're a team on it. So if I got something going on, she steps in. If she has something going on, I step in. We just kind of tag team it. That's how we've kind of gotten through this. Yeah.
I like that. So, because I kind of am the same way. Like at first it was awkward, like putting family time on my calendar. You know what I mean? Like because I was like, this is family time is all the time, right? Or like scheduling time to be intentional about spending time with my wife. Like this is quality time. But what I realized is if I don't put it on my calendar, right? If I don't put it on my phone or my calendar, like it ends up getting kind of washed with everything else, right? And like that family time, I'll find myself working on something when it's supposed to be family time, and I'm programming a workout for a client. I'm like, it'll just stay right here. Like we're still together, but you know what I mean? Eventually, she's like, yo, you gotta cut that out. Like you're bringing work into family time. My kids are like, Dad, put your phone away. It's time to play. So putting it on the calendar that's a huge thing, because just like work, right? Your job will schedule you for the time they want you to be there, and you're supposed to be there and on task that whole time, and you don't miss it, right? Like you're not late for it because it's on your calendar. So that's a bar for dads, right? For husbands, for fathers, like you make sure you schedule it, right? Especially if you're struggling with it. If you mastered it and you don't have to put it on a calendar, don't worry about it, right? But if you're struggling managing it, or things are picking up, like you said, things are starting to pick up, you have to definitely account for that time, just like you would anything else. All right. That's cool. So 3 years old, you still kind of new. How is I'm a little bit away from the 3-year-old, right? But how is it with the 3-year-old? I know mine used to get up early too, so I feel that pain. But
It's just early mornings, and yeah, it's a lot. It was a transition. I mean, now you kind of get in the groove of things, but even then, it's a shift. There's always a shift happening. We're going from bottles to no bottles, or walking. Now as she's talking and she got an opinion about everything. So it's like kind of managing all those phases of a little kid is interesting. It's exciting. It's definitely exciting to see her progress and see how smart she picks up things. Like she picks up everything very quickly. But it's like, making sure that I'm doing what I need to do to help her get to where she needs to go. That's always in the back of my mind. Like, how am I pushing her to do what she needs to do later in life, even though she's only 3?
Yeah. That's, again, you're thinking about the end, right? And trying to work it backwards. Did you look at any like the fatherhood books, or like, any of that kind of stuff? Did you do any research on that before you, like 3 years ago, before you became a dad? Did you do like the what to expect when you're expecting and all that stuff?
I didn't, to be honest with you. I probably should have really done that, but I just feel like a lot of those books prepare you for one thing, and then you get a whole nother situation, and it's just like, well, that book didn't really help much. So I guess part of it too, I wasn't as nervous. I've been a teacher for so long. So before being a college professor, I used to be a K-12 teacher. Okay. So I dealt working with other people's children. So I figure if I can work with other folks' children, I can figure out my own. It's been definitely a transition, but I've had experience. So I wasn't too nervous about it.
Okay. Yeah, you know what? For me, I did, right? And it was like a solidarity thing. Like my wife was reading these books, and so I was like, I'm gonna read them. And I have to be honest, like they prepare you and they don't, right? They give you like a general idea of what may happen, but then your situation can be completely different, right? And so you have a grasp of what may happen, but no real definites, right? Like at this month, your kid might be doing this, or they might not be doing this. And so I don't tell people not to do it, right? Yeah. Because if you want to get your information for sure. Like knowledge is power, but I think you do learn. It's like a situation where you learn on the job, right? And as long as you're genuine and present and wanting to be the best possible father you can be, you're going to be fine, right? You're going to be fine. I think you don't mess it up.
Yeah, no, I agree. And I think one thing we did do, which was helpful, I forgot the name of the app. It was this app that you can get, and it breaks down all the stages they're going through up through, like, I feel like it's like 18 months. Now that was helpful. Like we could kind of see, like they call it like a phase when they're storming and then they're going through a transition. So we knew like, all right, this might be a tough week or two. And it was pretty like on point. So that was the app. I just can't remember the app's name, but that app was very helpful. So we didn't necessarily do a lot of pre-reading, but when Leah got here, it was definitely using that app to figure out, all right, what's happening right now in her development.
Yeah. Okay. You know what? Well, how do you, because I had an episode where I talked to another dad, and he was talking about some of the tech stuff that they used. Like there was like a baby monitoring app, or like it was one that was in the bed, and like it could determine like how much they rolled or how well they slept. And did you guys use any of that stuff?
Oh yeah, we used it all. So they need to be giving you a plug for this. Nanit is one that we use. It's like a video camera system. So I didn't want a camera like over the crib that we had to mount to the wall or anything like that. I wanted something portable. Okay. So the Nanny has this one that's on a tall stand, and the camera's over the top. Okay. And that's been helpful. We still use that, even though she's 3. We just want to, now she has no railing on her bed. So we just want to make sure that she's just not terrorizing the room while we're not in there. So we got that. We used something called the Owlet. It was this thing that you put on their feet to capture their oxygen level.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so that helped, with the overnight sleeping. So we were asleep, baby was asleep, we felt okay. What else did we use? Those are the big 2 in terms of tech. And then we also use this, it's called a Hatch, and it's like a white noise machine, but you can control it via Bluetooth, and it has lights, different color lights. So you can start teaching your child like how to, all right, if it's green, that means you can get out of bed, or if it's red, that means you should still be in bed. So stuff like that. Those three have been the main three that we've used and still use.
Okay. I like that. So yeah, so we were just talking like the technology now is, even from when my kids were young, it's so much more advanced. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, there's so many like that data that you can get, right? And just understanding your child and helping in the parenting, right? Because he was saying he got into an argument with his father about it. It was like, you're not parenting like we used to parent. Like, you don't have to be a dad because you got all this tech. He was like, but if you knew better, you do better, right? And so that
Right.
tech definitely provides you the opportunity to know a little more. I definitely would have used it if we had it available. I mean, we had like, baby monitor, like the normal one.
Yeah.
Some white noise was on there, but that was pretty much it, so I definitely would have slept a little better, knowing some of those things and not having to get up and go in the room and check, or like the baby monitors in like black and white. So if she rolls the cover, you can't see her anymore. I'm like, is she still in there? Let me go check.
Yeah.
That kind of panic was unnecessary if you have, some of those other devices. So outside of, like, you didn't do the books too much, which is whatever. Like I said, they're kind of general. Do you lean on anybody else, like, maybe like an older brother or father or somebody that kind of give you like some fatherhood game, like, hey, this is going on right now. What did you do when this happened?
Yeah, so it's actually funny. So my trainer, right? So I have a personal trainer, and so his son is 2 weeks younger than my daughter.
Okay.
So we talk about what's like every training session, even like last night, like his name is Gino. It's like, your Gino doing this? And he's like, is Leah doing that? And like, we kind of take notes on each other, because a lot of times what I'm experiencing, he's experiencing the same thing. So we will always say, oh, so we not, at least we know we're not going crazy, right?
Right.
So he's one of the people, we have kids about the same age. But I also have a couple colleagues who have older children, maybe that are just going to college, but they are reflecting back on some of the things they wish they would have done or things they would have done differently. So getting that help from them has been helpful. And then I have a couple of friends whose kids are maybe like 7, like the age of your children.
Uh-huh.
And so they've been helpful. Like, here's what's coming up next. Like, here's some things to think about with school and all that stuff. So I got people kind of in all three of those phases that have been helpful.
That's good, man. It's really important to have a fatherhood network, or at least a parenting network of people that can kind of give you a heads up on what's coming. Like you said, you got somebody that's right around the same age, so you can share like, hey, look, man, this is starting to go on. So you don't feel alone, right? Because like fatherhood, it can be definitely a lonely place, because like guys we just don't talk about it enough. You know what I mean? We'll talk about the game. We'll talk about, the fight. We'll talk about politics and taxes and everything else. But like the parenting thing is like, your kids good? Yeah, my kids are good. All right, what about the game?
Yeah.
That's pretty much the extent of it. So it's good that you have a group of people that you can lean on a little bit to kind of share that information. So kudos to you, man. Like you're light years ahead of some other guys. So that's really why I ended up starting this podcast, is because I have a group of guys like similar, right? Or a group of friends that, some of the same age, some got kids that are older, some got kids that are younger. But through that network, we're able to kind of share what's going on, what's happening with this, what's happening with that. When your daughter turned 10, did this happen? You know what I mean? Those kind of things. And so I found it super, super helpful. But then I also know, like, and this was more recent, before I got this group of dudes that I started hanging out with more recently, I was on this thing alone. You know what I mean? Like, I could ask my dad, but the last time he had kids was like 30 something years ago, right? So, his help was not that helpful. He was like, we you used to just cry. We let you cry.
Cried out.
I'm like, but for how long, though? She's been crying for like the last 30 minutes. Like, where did you go in the house? Because I remember the house. The house wasn't that big. So where did you go when I was crying for this time? He was like, we just, we tuned it out, and you eventually, you got it. You all right, ain't you?
Yeah. I love it. Yeah.
So I was like, I'm gonna have to find somebody that's a little more modern in their parenting style. And so so this group of guys that I hang with now is really cool. So I'm glad you got that, right? Okay, so got the 3. Are you guys planning on having any more?
I don't know. We get that question all the time. If you asked me yesterday, might have been no. Today could be yes. It just depends on the day.
Yeah.
To be honest, we're just trying to think about how to fit all that in with everything else that's going on in life. You got the pandemic stuff you got to kind of keep into consideration right now.
Right.
It's just all those things combined. I don't know, to be honest with you.
Yeah. I mean, we're done, but like, I mean, I know what the pandemic just makes everything crazy. And then before we decided we were done, matter of fact, we still get that question, right? People are still like, oh, when you getting the next one? And because I have 2 girls and I'm in sports, guys are like, where's your son? When you get a son, man, you need a son. I'm like, not really. Like, I got 1,000 cousins where the last name is going to be okay. Right.
Yeah.
No, you need a son. I'm like, nah, I'm okay. So
yeah, no, we definitely think we'd love for Leah to have another sibling, somebody to go through life with. It would be nice. Yeah. It's just a matter of when would make best sense.
Yeah. It's cool. Like our daughters have a really, really tight relationship. They have separate rooms. Actually, this used to be one of my daughters. We're in the process of moving. So this was like half stuff on the wall and not really anything in the room. But it used to be my older daughter's room. And for whatever reason, during the pandemic, they decided they were going to sleep together. And so now they sleep in the same room, in the same bed. Like, so we got an extra room for nothing. And both of them are in the same room. And they have, there's 2 beds in there, but they'll sleep in the same bed every night. So they have like a really tight relationship, which is super cool, because even though I have sisters, I was my mom's only child. So I was the only kid in the house. And so that was like, it's boring sometimes, you know what I mean? So I'm glad that they have somebody to kind of hang with and talk to, play with. So you're not like playing with imaginary friends all the time, you know what I mean? Yeah. So, what does your wife do?
So she is a benefits consultant. So she helps organizations develop their benefits packages they give to employees.
Nice.
So her background's she's a mathematician, so that's her background. So she's a numbers person. That's so she's real on the number side. I'm more on the creativity side, so we make a good combination. She keeps me in line because she has the organization down.
Yeah. I was gonna say you guys are like yin and yang. You balance each other out evenly. Yeah, mathematician, huh? Jeez.
Yeah.
Like I enjoyed math when I was in high school. When I got to college, I got over it. I was like, we got to get rid of this math stuff. We don't need that. I can add 45-pound plates and like, you know what I mean? I can add stuff in the weight room. I got weight room math. We're good. I can use Excel for formulas. I don't need to know all that stuff. But that's cool, man. That's cool. So you guys are out on the East Coast. Do you have any desire to move anywhere else? You love it out there?
Our family's kind of centrally located here. So like I'm from Connecticut originally. So I still have some folks in Connecticut. So I'm not too far of a drive, like 4 hours from them. And then my wife's family is in the DC area. So we're not far at all from them. My older sister is here in DC. My brother's in Richmond. My mom lives in Richmond now. So Virginia. So we're at a great location. Like for me, if I want to stay a professor, there's like tons of universities right where we are. So I don't have to really move if I don't want to. Right. Yeah, for right now, it's cool. I had a couple opportunities, though, to actually come out west, and had those things come through, we would have took it because it was like a once in a lifetime type of gig. But other than those types of opportunities, I think we're going to stay around here.
Yeah, that's dope. It's nice to be around family. My family's kind of all spread out now. Like we were all really, really close when I was younger. But then as we all got older, people start taking their money and getting out of California.
Them housing prices is crazy.
Yeah. We were just, because like I said, we're in the process of moving. And so we have been looking other places outside of the state, and like, we can get twice the size for the same price. Like we can get a mansion for what we're paying right now. Yep. But we love California. So I don't think we're going to move,
They say the sun tax or whatever they call it.
The sun tax, the beach. We're in a good location because an hour in any direction, like we can be in the beach in an hour. We could be in the mountains in an hour, like up in the snow. We're like 2.5 hours away from Vegas. So if you just want to go hang out in Vegas, you know what I mean? Like, so we're in a really good location. So it's hard to be like, all right, we're going to move to Houston
Yeah.
And there's, the beach isn't really close and there's no mountains and all these things you got to try to give up. But I'm telling my wife, like, you have like the biggest closet you can possibly have. You know what I mean? Your closet will be like another room. And she's like, nah, I don't want that. I want the beach.
Yeah.
All right. So I do have a couple of extra questions for you. We've been kind of just flowing with it a little bit. And before I get to that, though, I know you mentioned you have a personal trainer. So obviously you're working out. What are you working out for something in particular, or like what are your goals? What are we doing?
Yeah, so right now I'm just working out just to stay in shape. Like, I was a college basketball player, so like, I'm always trying to stay on top of my fitness. And with the pandemic, I can't play like that anymore. I just don't even feel like going out there. I don't know who's out in the court, so I try not to do that anymore. So I just said, if I'm not going to the gym, let me at least bring the gym to me. So I do a virtual with my trainer, just to stay in shape. We started working initially. I started getting a trainer because I was like, I guess because I always had a coach. And so like, for me to just go to the gym and lift and work out, which is not appealing to me. Like, even though I've been an athlete, done very well, I'm just used to like almost by like force, like, you need to go to the gym because it's part of your workout plan for ball or whatever. So initially I was training for a triathlon. And so I was like, let me get a trainer to kind of help me just get my conditioning shape for that. And so that started back in 2017. I've just kept a trainer ever since, just to kind of stay. Right now I'm trying to drop weight. So I just want to see how that's going. Drop weight, just pick up muscle. So just going through that process right now.
How was the triathlon? How'd that go?
So when I was training for it, I should have watched some triathlons before I started training, because I figured out the open water piece. I did not like the fact that you have to swim in open water. So what I ended up doing is finding an aquathon, which is a race where you swim in actually like a pool, and then you'll do the run. So it's like a swim run. And that was cool. I ended up training and I did the race.
Was it the full distance?
It was so there's different lengths on a triathlon. So I was doing, I forget what they call it, not a mini triathlon. So it was like a 750 meter swim. And this race was a 5K run after.
Yeah. I did one of those, a sprint triathlon.
Sprint triathlon. There we go. I can't remember the name.
I had the same thing, man. Like the swim, the swimming in the ocean, like, nah, y'all can have that. Like, I'm not the strongest swimmer to begin with, and I'm definitely not going to go out in the ocean and swim. So
I got a swim coach and everything. So I was like,
I was
hardcore. I was like really trying to learn, like, all right, let me perfect my technique. So like, if I get tired out in this water, like, what am I going to do? Because you just out there.
Yeah. And I mean, there's people out there to save you, but they're not that close.
Yeah.
Man, okay, all right. So you did it. You completed it.
Yeah, I completed it. Yep. And I always just say this: I won in my age bracket. I was the only person in my age group. I hit right over. I think I was 31 at the time, and so I had folks that were like 30, and so they were in the lower group. I was 31, so I got like the 31 to 35 group. So I won that.
Nice. And now, where'd you play basketball at?
Lynchburg College in Lynchburg, Virginia.
Okay.
Small. As a D3 school in Central Virginia.
Okay. What position?
Yeah, I was a point guard.
Okay. Distributing the rock, or you passing the rock, or you a shooter?
Nah, I'm a shooter, man. Yeah. I used to shoot like 40% from three. So that was my thing. Like, just shoot.
Yeah.
I love ball. I was actually getting recruited by D1 schools, and I got on my tours, I started to see like, man, this is a business and I'm not really here for it. Like, a lot of them were like, oh, actually I was getting recruited by like Pepperdine, and they were like, oh, well, you're going to have to major in something else. I wanted to major in music.
Yeah.
And they were like, oh, you have to do sports marketing or business administration or something where they can control your calendar.
Your schedule. Yeah.
And I was like, no, I'm not really with that.
Yeah. I experienced that late, right? Because I went to school as a biomedicine major, and I was playing football, but I wasn't a starter. So it didn't really matter. Like, I had classes that went, like, I get out of practice and then I had to go to class, and I had a lab after that. And so I was in class like all day, right, to like 10 p.m. And then I had to do homework, right? And it was cool my first couple of years because it was like, I wasn't really playing. So if I wasn't killing it in practice, it was whatever, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I didn't have to travel that first year, so it really didn't matter. But then when I became a starter, it was like, hey, you got to figure something out. You can't miss film. I don't care what your class is. We're gonna have this, we're gonna have that. And I'm like, yeah, but my class schedule is not. And the coach is like, you have to make a decision. You got to figure out what you want to do. Like we're paying for you to go to school. So you have to figure out what you want to do. And so I ended up switching to business, which was like, it was like the catch-all. It was super easy. They had like groups that they basically did the work. Where'd you go to school? I went to Michigan Tech.
Okay.
It's a D2. But if you weren't like an engineer, you were in business, right? Okay. And so business was like whatever, right? And it was like I said, it was mostly group work, right? And you'd be in a group of kids and they did all the work because like you're the football player in the group and they knew, and they were like, you know, you could do this and then we'll take care of everything else. I'm like, nah, man, I really want to do the work. Like I really want to, be involved. Like, no, I'm not just going to be the dumb guy up there while you're doing a presentation. I'm just standing off to the side.
Yeah.
So that was tough for me because I had never been in a situation where I was asked to underachieve academically, right? You know what I mean? Like just fit in here and you'll be okay. And so that was tough, but I looking back at it now, like the experience that I have in business is definitely helping me at this point. You know what I mean? Like I'm in business for myself. And so that experience was good. And I don't know that I really wanted to be a veterinarian now that now that I look at it, I'm like, I like animals still, and I got dogs and all this stuff, but I don't really want to be a vet, you know? But that was like my childhood thing. I wanted to be a veterinarian. So that's how I ended up there. But yeah, I think a lot of people get into college athletics and don't realize how much of a business it is. Like it's really a business. Like these people are making millions of dollars doing this. And if you don't figure it out soon, they'll figure it out for you.
And this one I saw was a business. We would, the NCAA has the rules where you can play or you can do something athletic related for 6 out of 7 days per week. But what they would end up doing on day 7, it'd always be after we had an away game, like probably 2 or 3 hours where we come back, they'd be like, oh, we have a clinic for the kids on that day off. They're like, oh, you got to come in and run the clinic. So I'm still in the gym, still like working. Yeah, it's crazy. I'm like, and then yet they're making money. I'm not seeing any money. I'm like, wait a minute, something's going on.
No.
So I started to get a little disgruntled with college athletics when I just started seeing the money I was being made and I wasn't making any.
Yeah, and then they had that captain's practice where you had to be there, but no coaches could be there.
No coaches there, off season.
Right. Yeah, but they're watching like from up some. Yeah. It's a game, man. It's definitely a game. But let's hop back on father. I just had to go into that. I'm a sports guy, right? So
I got you
into a little bit. And then I asked you about your fitness because I think the fitness piece is important, and to hear that you're just doing it just for life, right? Just to stay in shape for life is important.
I'll say too real quick that the pandemic, man, I really felt like the working out was like therapy in a way because I was like stuck in the house. That was the only thing I had to look forward to in my day. Was just like, all right, I'm gonna do this workout from 8 to 8:30 tonight. At least, let me get whatever I can out in this workout. And so it got me through for a while. So I started doing it. I was doing like every day for like 5 months straight, working out. It was just helpful.
Nice. And you say you're doing it virtually?
Yeah.
So you guys are meeting on like Zoom,
on Facebook Messenger, and then he'll like tell me what the workouts are, and we'll just do them. Yeah.
Oh, that's dope. How often a week are you doing it now?
I'm doing riding with him usually Sunday through Wednesday, and then sometimes Friday. So like 3-4 days a week right now.
Nice.
So my schedule picking back up, but it's nice. I enjoy it.
Cool. And you bought the equipment to have at your house?
Yeah, some of the weights and stuff like that, just to set up. I have a bigger basement now. We moved during the pandemic too, so I have a little bigger area. So I bought some weights and just some simple stuff. I don't need a whole bunch. I was having a lot of just. We were just doing a lot of just body weight stuff, and that was working really well, actually.
Yeah. Body weight can get you right. Like you don't need a whole lot of stuff, right? Mm-hmm. So if somebody knows what they're doing, right, you can get a lot. You get a lot accomplished. So that's awesome. All right, man. So I don't want to keep you too long. I know you got tons of stuff going on. So I do want to ask you a few of the final questions here.
Yeah, sure.
So obviously the podcast is about fatherhood. You're a father, but what does fatherhood mean to you?
Yeah, when you were telling me about that, I've been thinking about that. What does fatherhood mean? I think it's just meaning really, for me, in a lot of ways, like providing the life that I didn't have for my daughter, like for father, like that's something I take pride in. And that's why I push to do what I need to do, because I want to make sure that she has a better life than what I did growing up. And then I think part of the, fatherhood too is just, for me, is just being involved. Like I'm definitely over involved. I just love to be involved because I was in a situation, and I didn't go into that from my background story, but my father was killed when I was 6 weeks old.
Oh,
And
wow.
so I didn't have that growing up. And, I looked for that. But now as a dad, I'm like, oh, I could be that experience that I didn't get to have for my daughter. So like now I see it in like how it unfolds, is that when she gets up in the morning and she needs some, yogurt is what she loves in the morning, these Go-Gurts or whatever, she'll call, Daddy, I need yogurt. Like she's calling me in the morning.
Yeah.
So I just know like she sees like he's involved. He's really taking, action with me. So, that's definitely what fatherhood is definitely meant to me so far.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I can't pass that up. And now that you mentioned it, how was that growing up, without your father? Like, how do you feel like that molded your fatherhood situation or molded you?
Yeah, it just wanted me to be involved. And then I had some stepfathers that we just never got along right. And I think it's just something different when it's not your biological parent in the picture.
Yeah.
And so I think that was always a piece, but it's like, you don't miss what you don't know. So I didn't necessarily say, oh, I miss him per se, but it was just like, man, what would life have been like had I had that? Or would I know how to do some of those things that, quote, men supposed to learn how to do, change a tire? Like some of these things, foundational skill sets that my mom just couldn't teach me. This just wasn't there. I definitely had men that stepped in to fill that role, but it's just something different. And so I just said, when I'm a dad, I want to make sure I'm in the picture, that I'm involved in all the things. So that's where I see it now.
Okay. All right. So you're a professor, you got a coaching program. If you were to create a course, to teach a course for fathers, what would that curriculum look like? What is it that you would want them to know by the end of the semester? Like what are the things that you want them to walk away with?
Yeah, the one is that we're experiencing this now. It's like, schedule your time with you and your significant other, whoever that is in the picture. Because I think when we're as dads, we get stuck in like provider, making sure the kids are good, but like, are you making sure the relationship is good? And like, so my wife and I are constantly talking about this. How do we get that time so we have with each other? I think that is a big piece that I would like in a course. I want to make sure that folks get that, like scheduling that time in. Like I said, it's just something that we've experienced, particularly with the pandemic, making things a lot more challenging with childcare and those types of things.
Right.
The other piece is that, with a course on like fatherhood, it's just be willing to do things that you didn't think you would have to do going in. Like every once in a while I have to do my daughter's hair, like just things that I just like, I don't know what I'm doing, but I'll figure it out.
Yeah.
It's been a lot of that. And then just know it's not going to be perfect. You're just trying to do the best you can do. And so give yourself some grace. And so I think those are something that's very important for fathers when they're thinking about how to approach it and how to go through it.
Okay. I like that. There's a second part to that question, right?
Yeah.
You still in the same title, right? You're still an educator, you're creating a course, but this one is for your daughter or your children, right? Like we don't know if you're done yet, but for right now, it's for your daughter. What would you want her to know? Maybe not now at 3 years old, but maybe like down the line, what do you want her to know?
Yeah, I just want her to know that she probably won't see this, but there was so much sacrifice that I've made in life to make sure that I could get to a point where I could provide for her in the way that she has lived. And so I think sometimes as kids, we just see the end product, but we don't know all that back work that happened.
Right.
And so, that's part of it. And just to know that we always did our best, even though it may not have seemed like that, because I know kids have a certain perspective of what happens to them. Right. And so just know, like, I always would want her to know, like, we did what we knew how to do at that point in time to make sure it was the best for her or for them, because who knows about this, you never know.
Right.
On the picture.
Yeah. I mean, that's what you got to do, right? You do your best, right?
Yeah.
And then you kind of figure it out after that, right? Okay, so if people are wanting to find you, if they're wanting to contact you, if they are entering the PhD program and they want to get into the Done Dissertation Coaching Program or anything, right? How would they be able to get in touch with you?
Yeah, on social media, if you're interested in dissertation services, on social media we are at Done Dis Coach, so DONEDISS COACH on YouTube, Twitter, Instagram, Facebook. You can find us on all those platforms.
Okay.
If you're trying to find me on there, you can find me at Ramon Goings on most platforms. You just type my name in. I'm the only one, so you'll find me on social media. And then for doc students, if you're like getting to the dissertation phase, what I want you to do is actually text #free FREE to 301-701-2466, and you get access to a free guide that I have for you, so to give you some support to get through the dissertation process.
Nice. Okay. I like it, man. Well, I appreciate you. I appreciate you for joining me, for sharing your experiences in fatherhood and life in general. Super excited to let everybody hear this podcast, man. I'm very appreciative.
Thank you so much, man. I appreciate you.
All right, brother. I'm gonna let you go. Enjoy the rest of your day, and I'll talk to you soon.
All right, sounds good.
All right.